Sometimes a strange moment arrives in a person's life. Nothing on the outside changes. The same world is still there. The same routines continue. But suddenly, everything feels different. The conversations feel empty. The entertainment loses its sweetness. Even the goals that once excited you begin losing their meaning. Many people think something is wrong when this happens. But sometimes this feeling is not confusion. It is the first sign that Allah may be quietly awakening your soul. When the world suddenly feels empty, there are moments in life when something very subtle begins to change inside the heart. Everything on the outside may look exactly the same, yet the inner experience feels completely different. The same routines continue. The same people remain around you. The same activities fill the day, but the feeling that once accompanied these things begins to fade. Conversations that once seemed exciting now feel repetitive. Entertainment that once captured your attention begins to feel hollow. The pursuits that once motivated you suddenly lose their intensity. It can feel confusing, almost as if the color has slowly drained from things that once appeared vibrant. At first, many people assume this feeling means something is wrong. They may think they have become unmotivated or emotionally distant, but this experience often carries a deeper meaning. Sometimes this quiet emptiness is not a sign of loss. It is a signal that the heart is beginning to wake up. For a long time, the world may have felt full because it constantly kept the mind occupied. But when the soul begins maturing, it starts recognizing that endless distractions cannot truly satisfy it. What once appeared meaningful begins revealing its limits. This shift can feel uncomfortable at first, because the heart is leaving behind what once defined its daily life. Yet within that emptiness lies the beginning of something new. When the world suddenly feels empty, it may be the first sign that the heart is being guided towards something deeper than anything it has known before. Allah begins quietly detaching your heart from the dunya. After the world begins to feel strangely empty, another quiet transformation often starts unfolding inside the heart. Things that once held strong emotional power slowly begin losing their grip. The excitement that once pushed you towards certain desires begins fading. Achievements that once felt extremely important no longer carry the same weight. Even the approval of people, which once influenced many decisions, begins feeling less significant. This change rarely happens suddenly. It happens gradually, almost so gently that it can go unnoticed for a long time. One day you simply realize that certain things no longer affect your heart the way they once did. The constant race for recognition begins to feel tiring. The desire to prove yourself to others begins fading. The endless comparison with people around you slowly loses its importance. At first, this stage can feel confusing. It may appear as if motivation is disappearing, but in reality, something deeper is happening. The heart is being loosened from attachments that once occupied too much space within it. The world itself is not disappearing. The responsibilities of life remain the same. Work continues. Relationships continue. Daily life continues. What changes is the place the world holds inside the heart. This is often one of the quiet ways Allah begins guiding a person. Instead of forcing dramatic changes from the outside, He gently changes the way the heart relates to the world. And when the heart slowly detaches from what once controlled it, space begins opening for something far more meaningful: clarity, reflection, and a deeper awareness of Allah. Your soul begins searching for something deeper. Once the heart begins loosening its attachment to the distractions of the world, a new feeling slowly begins appearing, a quiet search. It may not even be fully clear at first. It simply feels like a subtle longing inside the chest, a sense that something more meaningful must exist beyond the routine of daily life. The soul begins asking questions that never seemed important before. Why am I here? What is the purpose of my life? What truly brings peace to the heart? The things that once filled time begin feeling too small to answer these questions. Conversations that revolve around temporary matters begin feeling shallow. Endless entertainment begins feeling exhausting rather than enjoyable. The heart begins craving something that nourishes it rather than merely distracting it. This stage can feel unfamiliar because the soul is stepping into a deeper level of awareness. The heart starts paying attention to things it once ignored. Moments of silence begin feeling valuable. A few words of sincere remembrance begin carrying weight. Reading or hearing the Quran may suddenly feel more personal than it ever did before. This is the moment when the soul begins recognizing its true direction, not toward the endless chase of the world, but toward the one who created it. The search that begins in this stage is not random curiosity. It is the soul remembering where its true peace can be found. And once that search begins, the heart slowly starts moving closer to the presence of Allah in ways it may have never experienced before. Old desires begin dying without you noticing. After the heart begins searching for something deeper, another subtle transformation often unfolds. Desires that once felt powerful begin fading quietly, not through force and not through sudden discipline, but through a gradual loss of attraction. Things that once dominated attention slowly stop holding the same emotional pull. Certain habits that once felt impossible to leave behind begin feeling easier to walk away from. The excitement that once surrounded them becomes weaker. What once seemed necessary for happiness begins revealing itself as temporary. This stage can feel strange because the change happens internally before anything visible changes on the outside. Daily life may continue as normal, yet inside the heart something is being restructured. The ambitions that once drove every decision begin losing their urgency. The need to constantly chase more begins softening. Even the desire for praise and validation slowly weakens. It can feel like a quiet death of the old self, not a painful destruction, but a gentle fading. The heart begins realizing that many of the desires it once protected were never truly capable of giving lasting peace. They filled time, they created excitement, but they never reached the deeper layers of the soul. When this realization begins settling in, the heart naturally starts releasing what it once clung to. This is not emptiness, it is purification. The space, once occupied by restless desires, begins opening for something calmer, something clearer, and something far more meaningful than the temporary pursuits that once controlled the heart. Isolation starts feeling necessary for your heart. As this inner transformation continues, a new feeling often begins appearing, the need for quiet. Not loneliness, but distance from constant noise. The gatherings that once filled your time may begin feeling exhausting. Conversations that revolve around gossip, competition, or endless worldly concerns begin draining the heart rather than energizing it. You may find yourself naturally stepping back, not because you dislike people, but because the heart begins craving something calmer and more sincere. Moments of solitude start feeling valuable. Silence begins offering a kind of clarity that crowded environments rarely provide. This stage can confuse people around you. They may not understand why you suddenly seem quieter or less interested in the same activities. But internally, something important is happening. The heart is learning how to listen again. When life is constantly filled with noise, it becomes difficult for the heart to reflect. Distraction keeps the mind occupied and prevents deeper awareness from forming. Isolation, even in small amounts, creates space for reflection. It allows the heart to observe itself. It allows thoughts to slow down. And within that quiet space, deeper realizations often begin appearing. Many people discover that their most meaningful moments of spiritual clarity do not arrive during busy gatherings, but during the quiet hours when the heart finally has room to breathe. What once felt like isolation slowly reveals itself as preparation. Preparation for a deeper connection with Allah that only a quiet heart can fully recognize. Allah is preparing you for a higher awareness. After the heart passes through the stages of detachment, searching, and quiet reflection, another transformation slowly begins to unfold. A new kind of awareness starts forming. It does not arrive suddenly like a flash of understanding. Instead, it grows gently, almost unnoticed at first. The way you see the world begins to change. Situations that once felt confusing start revealing deeper meanings. Moments that once passed by without thought now carry lessons. You begin noticing patterns in life that you never paid attention to before. Events that once appeared random begin feeling purposeful. The heart becomes more sensitive to what truly matters and less affected by things that once seemed overwhelming. This is what many spiritual teachers describe as a higher awareness. It is not about gaining special knowledge or extraordinary abilities. It is about seeing life with a clearer heart. The distractions of the world no longer control your emotional state as strongly as before. Temporary problems lose their power to dominate your thoughts. Instead of reacting immediately to every situation, the heart becomes calmer, more reflective. This awareness also changes the way a person experiences worship. Acts that once felt routine begin carrying deeper meaning. A quiet moment of remembrance feels heavier with sincerity. Reading a few verses of the Quran can suddenly touch the heart in a way that feels personal and direct. The heart begins realizing that guidance was always present, but it was difficult to recognize while the mind was constantly occupied. Now that many distractions have faded, that guidance becomes easier to notice. What once felt like emptiness begins revealing itself as preparation. Preparation for seeing life with a clearer, more conscious heart that is slowly learning to recognize the presence and wisdom of Allah in every stage of existence. The sign your heart is being quietly rewritten. At the final stage of this quiet transformation, a person begins realizing something profound. The heart that once reacted to life in one way is no longer the same heart. Old reactions begin disappearing. Situations that once caused anger, jealousy, or constant worry begin losing their power. The heart feels calmer when facing things that once felt overwhelming. It becomes easier to let certain matters go. Not because life suddenly becomes easier, but because the heart itself has changed. What once felt like a series of random experiences now begins to appear like a carefully guided journey. The difficult moments, the confusion, the feeling of emptiness, and even the periods of isolation start making sense. Each stage was shaping something inside. The heart was being rewritten. The priorities that once controlled life have been replaced with new ones. The constant need for validation fades. The endless chase for temporary satisfaction weakens. In their place appears a quieter sense of purpose. A person begins valuing sincerity more than attention. Peace becomes more valuable than constant excitement. Time with Allah begins feeling more meaningful than time spent chasing approval from the world. This rewriting of the heart is not something that can be forced. It happens gradually as a person moves through the experiences that soften the heart and open it to deeper understanding. When someone reaches this stage, they begin realizing that what once felt like loss was actually transformation. The world did not take something away. Allah was preparing the heart for something far greater than what it once held. Sometimes what feels like confusion is actually the beginning of clarity. The heart does not wake up loudly. It wakes up quietly, through moments that slowly change how you see the world. And when the world begins losing its sweetness, it may not be loss at all. It may simply be the moment Allah begins guiding your heart back to Him.